Hey everyone, today I want to talk very briefly about a recent discovery and what it means for humans and dogs. The Bonn-Oberkassel dogs lived more than 14,000 years ago, and their remains were discovered just a little more than a century ago. Recent studies have found evidence here of more than one type of dog, as well as a dog that was in very poor physical health, which is rather curious. The dog in poor physical health left behind teeth with oral cavity lesions, which suggests that it was seriously suffering from morbillivirus, and it also had a history of infections and periodontal disease. This diseased dog lived to be about 7 months old before it died, which is relatively young, even for a dog, and it was buried with 2 adult humans in a grave filled with ceremonial grave items. The researchers in these studies make an interesting observation here. The humans would have gotten no evolutionary utility out of the dog, due to its small size, its young age, its weak immune system, and tooth disease. Since the dog was clearly not used for hunting, it appears most likely that the humans had an emotional connection to the dog. They cared for it, they kept it alive, and they loved it enough to bury it with its human family. The researchers say, and I quote, "We suggest that at least some late Pleistocene humans regarded dogs not just materialistically, but may have developed emotional and caring bonds for their dogs, as reflected by the survival of this dog, quite possibly through human care." Unquote. Now I kind of think that this research sheds a very heartwarming light on our evolutionary history, by providing relatively strong evidence that humans had been developing an emotional connection with their dogs since at least 14,000 years ago. I also think that this is a really interesting question to consider in a larger, more ecological context. Under what circumstances, and exactly how long does it take for organisms that are involved in a purely materialistic evolutionary symbiosis, via an exchange of specialized skills and shared rewards, when does that transcend material utility to generate a kind of emotional sentiment in the symbiotes? It's an interesting question, and it has really fascinating implications. Like, exactly how far does this go? How sophisticated of a brain, or how basal are the emotions that have to be involved for this to kind of emerge and for this to work? For example, do a few species of spiders and frogs, united symbiotically in their taste for insects, develop some kind of emotional adoration or respect for one another? Is the shark emotionally grateful to the cleaner fish that picks detritus out from between its teeth? And is the cleaner fish grateful to the shark for basically giving it food? Do plants feel some kind of alchemical love for their mycorrhizal fungal symbiotes? Is any of this a valid intellectual pursuit in the first place, or is this just gross projection of human emotions onto our animal and plant cousins? These questions have answers that are unknown, and perhaps unknowable. But still, it's really interesting to think about. This is a topic that digs into the whole conversation about animals, and perception, and consciousness, and exactly just how far a sense of self with an emotional relationship to others an animal is capable of experiencing.